Yeah, I got it. Sorry.
I think that's if your microphone is mute now.
We can't hear anything.
Yeah, his microphone is muted now. We can hear you, Nasif. Let me drop him a message.
No, he can hear that. We cannot hear him.
Oh, okay. Okay, maybe he has to disconnect his maybe speaker
Yeah.
or something and connect again. And okay, let's give it a shot. So I was saying we have yeah. So we have Fatu presenting today the book Mind Programming by Eldon Taylor. So Sister Fatu, if you're ready, we are ready to follow you for the next 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Thomas, for that introduction. Today, we'll be presenting on the book Mind Programming. I'll be presenting in three main ways. The first one is talking about the author. The second one would be like what the book says. And then the last phrase would be the method that we can follow to get from where bad behavior to good behavior. So the author, his name is Eldon Taylor, and Eldon Taylor studied criminology and forensic hypnosis. So forensic hypnosis is basically like being able to get to the mind of a person to get information from them. And he worked in law enforcement where he studied beliefs and subconscious influence in mind belief in subconscious and how that shaped our belief shaped our behavior. So that's why you would see like this book mostly would be referring to subconscious mind, subconscious stuff, because he worked in that aspect and study the aspect of criminology. And he's also working like criminal. He helped law enforcement to investigate, where he write about how programming and conditioning affect the human decision. He's a best author in New York best-selling author, and has written multiple books. And that's the first one we're reading. He also developed a inner talk, where he can talk about subconscious mind, self help technology to help the subconscious mind, just so you will be aware of what are the things that you take it into your mind. He has been featured in psychology, neuroscience, and improvement circles. He has hosted radio shows so that they can talk about pro provocative enlightenment, where the discussion like it's all about subconscious mind. Like I said, that's what his work has been. So that's about the author, and he the key points on the book. um the book on the nature of mind programming. He says like the human mind constantly influence external forces and often without conscious awareness. So it's like what we do outside of our lives. We do not see the forces that is around us that are being influenced by our behavior. So how we act, how we do things, are all being influenced. And then like he's talk about the media. So the media, they will post something, we will see it, manipulate, propaganda. We are all taking in those things and advertising, like I would not be hungry, but the moment like I go on social media or I open Google, I see food, I'm like hungry or I want to buy things. Sometimes I have self-conscious, I'm aware of that, but not everyone. They see it, they will buy it right away. And he said, like that social norms, it actually have a significant role in how our thoughts and behavior, how we act or how we do things through our behaviors. It shapes our behavior, it shapes our thoughts and all of that because how we're making decisions, how we're thinking are all influenced by what we are looking at, what they are showing us around us. And often people assume beliefs and preferences are their own. It's like we wake up, we think like, oh, because maybe we went to school, we have learned so much, we are educated, so we think like what we think. That's what he said. He said we think like what we thinking or what we eating, what we doing is all our own. But he's saying like it's not. He said that many are actually programmed by outside forces or outside sources. It's like we are all programmed. We are all set up to like what thoughts we have in us is for somebody else. It's not our own thoughts. And he said that the brainwashing also is like experience. So he quoted a few psychologists where like he talks about the brainwashing and persuasion. So it's like our brain has been washed and constantly um it's been we are being persuaded to do things that we don't want to do or that we want to do. So it could be like the government stuff that maybe politics and all cuts, you know, joining the cuts or organizations that we really don't feel like we even understand it, but because we are being influenced or controlled or persuaded how this thing going to help us, we go ahead and join it. He talked about fear and repetition and social pressure are power tools for mass influence. So like the influence that is or it could be higher or it could be lower, and that's why he definitely let us to know. He said you have to also be aware of the self sabotage and negative conditioning. That many self-limiting beliefs stem from past experiences. So it's like just because you do not have a negative thoughts or negative thinking doesn't mean like you don't. Other people don't. Other people have because they have it from their past, from experience, from bad experience, and it stayed with it and never got out of it. Like the negative influence that they had, they just never grew out of it. And then uh, all the external programming that is around us that you grew around, like maybe people talking about negative things, people talking about negative, or just, he didn't talk about it getting married or something, or people talking about, I can't get married because people keep getting divorced. I'm not going to have kids because kids are bad. Like if you grew up around those nature, of course, definitely you're going to be bad. You're going to be, your subconscious is not going to think positively. And then secondly, he's talking about the negative self-talk. Like you talking negative thing to yourself. I'm not going to succeed. I'm not going to get money. I'm going to be poor for the rest of my life. Like reinforcing feeling of inadequacy and fear. Oh my God, if I go over there, something's going to happen to me. If I get on the road, something's going to happen to me. So these are all subconscious things that have been planted in our mind. He said people unknowingly sabotage their own success due to deeply integrated negative programming, like the negative things that you have already absorbed, you have already programmed inside of you that you will never make it. So with these conditions, you set yourself for failure. You will not succeed. And the last part of my thinking today is about my presentation today is like, how do we get away from all of those negative sabotage and conditioning or programming that we have inside of us. He wants us to get away from it. He wants us to focus on things that will make us grow, things that will make us successful. He said there are ways he wants us to follow so that we can navigate the programming, especially the media sabotaging our belief, like what things that we see around us, maybe in our past, something that have influenced you negatively. He said the first thing is to be aware of it. That's the first step. You have to recognize how programming affect one thoughts and actions. We have to understand that this programming, let's say something that is on TV, it's like it will affect you. Like if it's just a second, like the subliminal is basically something where like they show it, but it's not totally shown. It's like just a flash. Even in music, you will see it in music, like there's a cousin words in those music. There are things there to brainwash you. There are negative things there that are telling you to harm yourself, but you don't pay attention. But it's in those music. And then like you absorbing those. He said you have to be aware that actually things around you are harming you. And with that, you will be able to affirm from it. He said, like, there are techniques such as affirmations. If there's negative thoughts coming from you, you have to start speaking positively in your life. You have to meditate, like right away. If there's negative things that is happening in your life, around you, people around you, you have to meditate. You have to visualize good things, and you have to self hypnosis. You have to influence your own self. Make yourself to come up with good things, with good words, because what you are aware that things around you is affecting you, and after that, you also have to speak positively in, so that those positivity can absorb inside of you. And then you have to develop critical thinking skills. Questioning assumptions lead to greater mental freedom. So critical thinking is like, okay, I'm not going to do these things. Okay, what are the things that I can do? What are the things that I can do? I cannot do? What are the things that I can listen to? And what are the things that I cannot listen to? You have to be thinking about those things. And then you have to actively be choosing thoughts. There are some negative thoughts that will come to you. You have to let it out. You have to let it go. You have to only choose what is good for you. He said you have to be able to reclaim and then control your mind. The mind is yours. You can feed it. Whatever you feed your mind with is whatever it's going to produce. And that's what Taylor is telling us today. We have to feed our mind, and whatever we choose, we should be able to choose that what we put in our mind, to let it out, not negative things. And whenever there's negative thing coming in your mind, you have to say some positive thing, or you have to use the technique of affirmations. You start speaking positive to yourself, good thing to yourself, success in your life. You have to be speaking of those things. And true powers come with self-awareness, mindfulness, and intentional living. With power, to be powerful, to control your mind, you have to be what? You have to know your self-awareness. You have to be mindful. You have to understand your mindfulness, and you have to be intentional about living. How you live, you don't just go about living anyhow. You don't just go about living or showing up at somebody's house just because you have free time. You have to choose, and you have to be intentional in living. Why am I going over there? What benefit will that make for me? Why am I in this circle? What am I in this group? What benefit will those things make for me? And with those questions, which is the critical question thinking that he's talking about, you will have an answer. And before you make that step or make that decision to not just show up to a party because there's a party, even if you are free, you can sit and meditate, and you can also understand who you are. And then he also gives some exercise that we can do. He said journaling, just monitoring. You have to imagine, like, he says that you have to monitor your thoughts. What are you putting outside? What are you telling people? Like around you, are you just opening your mouth and then saying things that will bring that will not bring glory to even your name? So you have to understand that you have to say things that will represent you, right? You have to say things that will honor you, that they will say, okay, yes, she's speaking life, she's speaking truth. It has to be, you have to be known for those things. So he's saying that, and you have to do also self-inquiry. You have to recognize the external or internal forces, things that breaking you down, things that breaking you depression, things that making you sad. You have to recognize those things, and then you speak affirmations, you speak visualization, you speak positivity to yourself. Lastly, they are still cultivating a more powerful independent mindset. So if you continue all of this, you realize that you will be cultivating power and independent mindset, which means that you are no longer influenced by the media. You are no longer influenced by organization negatively. You control your mind, and you definitely have to understand that, okay, on my thoughts, whatever I put out, that's what represents me. And what I get from the book today is basically like, we should understand our surroundings. We should know like there are forces around us every day, and these forces are negative forces, and they have control over us. We cannot deny that it does not exist. We have to know it do exist and is there, and we have to be aware of it so that we can control our mind. Thank you all for listening. That's my presentation.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Fatu. It's bright, live, and just we want you to continue. I'll give you my 5 minutes, and
You give me your 5 minutes?
yeah,
So he
later.
said, because it seems you didn't finish, but there are a lot of good stuff that you are bringing out. So if you still have more stuff to share, yeah, that
Uh-huh.
is a good news. You
Um,
have more time.
For
I,
closing.
for closing, okay, because I was like, you know, it's not that you don't want to hear more, but if yeah, in closing, in conclusion, um, the book definitely speak on our mind. He talks about the power that we all have. He talks about the power that we can have if we know what we carry, if we know what we have inside of her, if we know, if like self-awareness. For me, this book is very like it was very like a reminder, because it's something that I did in school, especially when you do behavior science. You understand like everything around you actually shape and then it control your behavior, so you get to choose wisely. And he talks about especially the independent minds set that I was elaborated on. Like, imagine being free. Imagine living your life and knowing that your thoughts is your thoughts, your word is your word. Like, there is nothing influencing you. How independent, living your life where there's no government control, there's no organization control, there's no media control. I mean, like, I think living that kind of life for me is basically not having a phone with you. So, if to be free and independent, as he talks about, it means that you have to be somewhere where there's no TV, there's no phone, but we will continue to be influenced by every negative things around us. But we have to choose. We have to choose to develop, to questions, to assume, to lead greater mental freedom, because being free from everything around you will definitely get you where you have to be. And this is what we are doing. We are reading books so that we can be aware of these kind of things, because awareness comes with reading, it comes with like studying, it comes with listening to good things, and then being able to speak positively in people, in other people's life. So I'm going to stop here, and then I can hear from other people.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. You're welcome.
Yeah, great
Thank
job.
you very much, Fatu.
Yeah, thank you. So the floor is open. Anyone can jump in for 3 minutes maximum.
I'll go.
Okay, go ahead, Bill.
Okay, first I want to thank Fatu for the great
Gracias.
presentation.
Correct.
And this book is like many others we read because it shares the notion of that the power of the mind and subconscious can be used to reach your maximum potential and become the absolute version of yourself. That's it. That's what I learned from this book.
Good. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the floor open though. Anyone want to get in? But you can talk a little bit longer than Bill, okay?
Let me jump in.
Okay.
This book is a kind of a scientific book compared to other books that we read. He come up with with a lot of proof. And when you hear in the news that things are happening, you know now that, oh, is where they are coming from. Because I don't know if you hear about what is, they call it Havana syndrome or something like that, that all the diplomats in Havana, Cuba, they develop. They don't know what is going on, but they just start complaining that they have a headache, and sometimes they lose their hearing, any kind of stuff that's happening. And now they are coming up saying that is Russia or China, maybe, we don't know, that are bombarding their building, the diplomatic building, with those microwaves. So go to the news. So definitely things are happening, but we don't know because we cannot touch them, we cannot prove them. So it's the same thing that is happening. And even when he was comparing the origin of schooling, he said that at the beginning, they say that they need only 3 categories. One, the rulers; the second, who can help to rule; and the third, those we can bring to the abattoir to kill, who are everyone. So if today we are having problem of financial literature, is by design. They don't want you to understand what that means, how to add 1 + 1. What they are telling you is the truth. You just take it that way. So what can we do to combat that is what we are doing now. Knowing the existence of those things is already helping us, because we don't know. He said that at one point they start printing journal and say you have to kill Gaddafi. You have to kill Gaddafi. And one day you will take a gun and go and do that, and they say, oh, he's the bad boy. But who influenced you? Who did that to you? Who? We don't know. So we have to be aware. And I'm very, very happy that Fatu presented in a certain way that always give envy to read. So I thank you especially for that, Fatu. And also is contagious that you always bring that feeling. So I'm happy to share this club with you guys, and we are forcing ourselves to read more. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, let me go. Thank you, Fatu. You always amaze me when you do your presentations. You are so precise in terms of just, the explaining what the book is saying. And you have done it again. Thank you so much. This book, I think it's a bit troubling for me because it states the truth. And here's the thing: a lot of the books we read that are on the positive side, but this book, when the author writes it, he starts on the dark side of persuasion, and he talks about how we are being influenced every day. whether we know it or we don't, whether we like it or we don't. And it's happening everywhere. But my feeling is that it's at this point in our lives happening even at a greater rate than before, because now we are so exposed to external stimuli that than ever before in terms of the internet. The information is so much available, and everybody is saying things that in I think 10, 20 years ago, information was hard to come by, and you really had to go into books to find it. Apart from those who were, maybe they had the TV, but now everybody has information in their hands, and it's not all good information. In fact, a lot of it is not good information at all. It is there, it is being spread for a purpose, and that purpose is to influence you, how you think, how you behave, and what you will turn out to be at the end of the day. Now, having said that, I think we are maybe a small fraction of those who are fortunate enough in that we have exposed ourselves to these readings, and we have an awareness. And not only that, but we are skilled in terms of how to deal with those influences. We have this awareness with us. Now, having said that, when I was looking at this book, there's a few things that really stuck out for me. And there's a point where he's talking about the sea squirt, and he says this is an animal. It's a sea. It's found in the sea, some kind of sea life. And he says after it's born, this animal finds, what it does is to find somewhere where it can attach itself. And as soon as it finds that, it then consumes its brain. Pretty much it's now brainless. And the way he's saying is the animal, it seems its purpose is only to find comfort. And I think he is describing how the majority of people are, in that we don't use our brain. As long as we are comfortable where we are, it's all good. And we are just as good as if we had no brains. That really got me thinking. And then I started to say to myself, but how do we help others? How do we help those who do not like to read? How do we help those who tend to be blown by the wind, whichever direction is blowing? Because I think we also have a responsibility, not only to ourselves, but to our brothers, to our sisters, and to people that we interact with. But what should our strategy be to just be helpful, bringing that awareness to those that are subjected to these influences that we have talked about? So maybe I'm putting it up as a question, but the book in itself is very thought-provoking, and I really enjoyed the space where he talks about, areas of metaphysics, which to many people it's just stuff, but in reality it's there. It's just because scientifically we don't understand it and we can't prove it scientifically. It's just very much like spirit and God. We can't prove, we can't see, and usually for a man, if they can't prove or see a thing, then it doesn't exist. I think that's really how I really enjoyed this book, because he's hitting hard in terms of those things that we know regarding metaphysics.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Thank you very much.
Anyone want to jump in?
I just want to say thank you to Fatu for the great presentation. It was really clear, and I really enjoy listening to you with that energy and passion of presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go
Awesome.
quickly to thank you, Fatu. Your energy is always amazing. When you talk about anything, no matter the subject, the energy you bring to it is wonderful. Um, to me, the book is. I really think you have to analyze where you are spiritually, because this type of book they can really swing you one direction or the other. Uh, but I feel like he was talking a little bit more about the power of the subconscious and us being aware of what is in our environment. How does it impact us emotionally? What are we watching? What are we reading? Who do we talk to? Um, like most of the books that we read, you are a reflection of the five things or five people that are surrounding you. So it's just another reminder to be mindful of what we are surrounding ourselves with on a daily basis, what we listen to in the morning. Um, so those little things that can really either give us an uplift in the morning or can really draw us to our faith as we go through our day or when we wake up or how we think about things. I am very intentional with what I do now these days because whatever whatever I put into my mind always happens to me. So I'm very conscious of that, and I try my best to be positive. And as human, as we all know, those thoughts comes to us, but you have to be intentional. Bringing your thought back to the good stuff, doing things that will keep you in the vibration of positiveness all the time, and to be aligned with really your well-being. Your source of energy has to be clean for things to really happen to you. So that's a little bit what I wanted to say. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, Crystal.
Thank you, Crystal.
Yeah, what can be your turn?
Me, I'm the sheriff in the place, so
You were sharing.
I'm
Go
the
ahead.
sheriff today. Shura, you want to say anything, or Charlie?
Sure, I'll go.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. First, thank you for the presentation, Fatu. It was a good presentation. I was taking notes the whole time, so I'll just go through like some of my thoughts that I wrote down after everyone spoke. So first, be aware of like external forces. That's what the book is talking about. Yes, be aware of external forces. But an idea I also want you to keep in mind is that you as an individual cannot know everything, right? There are people who have spent their whole lives studying certain subjects, and they will always be more of an expert than you on those subjects, right? So like be aware of the forces that are influencing you externally, but don't just mindlessly block things out, because you might block out information that is valuable to you, right? Like you're not going to ignore your doctor just because he's an external force. No, he's there to help you, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing, control what you can control, right? You cannot control everything in the world. You cannot control the sources of those external sources of information, right? Like you can control what you hear on the radio by changing the station, but you can't change the billboard that you see as you drive, right? So control what you control and don't get caught up on the things you can't control. Just acknowledge that you can't control them and try to minimize their influence on you. Next thing, not all information is good. I like that idea, Josh. And another idea I want to add on to that is why does someone give out this information, right? Like these books that we're reading, right? Part of the reason is that they want to help people, but also part of the reason is that they wrote the book to make money, right? Like they're going to make some money off of the book. And I respect that fact, right? but just acknowledge why they're giving out the information and find out what people are saying the opposite things to that person, right? And also find out why those people who are saying the opposite things, find out why they're saying that, right? Do they also gain something financially? Do they have some agenda to push? Is the person who's giving the initial piece of information, does that person have an agenda to push? So then answering the question that Josh asked, how do we help others? And the simple solution to that, right, is explaining what you can explain, bring awareness to issues that they don't know about, and give them a chance to learn. But do not try to force this information on them, right? If they don't want to hear you, they will not listen, and you will be wasting your time, right? Or you'll even be like ruining that association, right? Don't do what you can, but you cannot force someone to learn, right? You can only bring the horse to the water. You can't force it to drink. And then the last thing, right? This idea of inertia, right? Once you've started doing something, it's easier to keep going once you've started, right? So that initial hump of starting is where the difficulty is. Once you started, keep it going and be aware of the external sources of information that are influencing you. So yeah, thank you everyone, and I hope everyone has a good night.
Thank you. Thank you, Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I don't know. Charlie, you want to? It looked like Charlie.
Yes, I want to say something. I was far from the phone and I had it muted. But yes, thank you everyone, particularly to Fatu for the contagious excitement. Okay, and thank you to all the participants for your contribution. Yes, as you said, we've read similar books, and this one try to show the power of a external environment or the influence of the external environment on our behavior, on our life, and how that happened. The book has shown it scientifically, and we just have to be aware of that, which is very important. And we try to be intentional about what we could do. Things that we could control, as most people said, we make sure we control them, and things we could not control, we just let them go. But we try to influence them, in the opposite way, in the way that we still come out, at the positive end. That is my key point. Now, when it comes to doing things, what I love the most about the author, he emphasized on the atomic habit. Like anything you want to do, just start doing it at a small scale. Before you realize, it becomes your second nature. I remember I'm not sure if with Arun that we were discussing, and he said something like, "Oh, even if you don't listen to the news and it is going on, your mind is recording it," and it always, touches my mind whenever I'm somewhere or I hear, or in the background, even when I'm pumping gas, for example. And then there's, as soon as you take the nozzle, then the advert kicks in, and I ignore it. Most of the time I don't even hear or see anything about what the thing said, but that thought that he and I had, and he said, whether you are aware or not, whether you pay attention or not, some piece of the information goes into your mind, and regardless your desire, it affects your behavior. This book exposes that so much, and it's a little scary. But what Shira just said, at the same time, what are we doing here? We are using information. We still have to use it. We still have to get something, because it wasn't this democratized from the beginning. But today, we have the information at our disposal. So somebody said last time that yes, people are using vehicle to kill, or the vehicle has become a tool of terrorism. But the good that vehicle does is way more than that, and then we don't even need to think about it before we realize that yes, regardless the intention of a few to use vehicle to kill, there wouldn't even be any thought of pulling vehicles out of human usage. So this is the same thing as information. The advantage that we have to use information out past the disinformation and misinformation that we have, around us, and we just have to be intentional doing things that could help us. And one thing he said, for example, to change everything, like even looking at your partner, what can you do? How could you change your feelings? Just make sure every night before you go to bed, see 3 good things about your kids, 3 good things about your spouse, 3 good things about yourself. What 3 good things have happened to me and to my life today? And if every day you think about 3 things like that about your kids, before you realize, some of those bad things, their bad behavior, the shortcomings from your people around you will be, of good things that you intentionally put in your mind about them. And before you realize, things that you are seeing that are really bad, people that you see in your life that you do not see any good influence in them, maybe they're having a lot of good stuff around you that you are overlooking. So I say we could do that. Things that we want, let us intentionally put them into our mind, like what I just said. And before we realize, we will be happy, and then do good things about things that are around us than seeing them negatively. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie.
No
Thank you.
problem.
I think it's my turn to say a few words. Special thanks to Fatu. Start from there, and thanks to everyone. Learn a lot from each of you. I don't have that much left, except maybe answering a few questions. Let me put the timer on. I already spent it maybe 30 seconds. So about the mind programming. Throughout the book, you realize it's not only like at like an adult age event, right? The mind programming starts with the parents since we were little, and they already put enough in us. And then later, when you go to school, it continues on the street and the neighborhood. When you go and play, you get some more, right? So maybe now is the time for us and to start knowing, okay, hey, some of these things are not good. My belief, I need to change this from my belief. I need to return, or maybe I need to add, especially when it comes to finance, right? We have some teaching that would, let you know that, okay, you don't need to try to reach for too much in your life. Enough is enough, and you make your life. Just be mindful about those programming. Now, so again, the mind programming is the whole life event, right? We have to continue fighting. If you turn on the TV in the morning and they say there is something in the neighborhood, there is a shootout, or people were killed, or maybe an accident, ask yourself, why they're telling you that in the news? Why they're telling you about an accident that happened? And like I turn on France 24 on YouTube today, and they're telling me about a car accident in Bogota, Colombia. What I have to do with it here, right? And they keep showing that. So we need to be mindful to zap the news, or don't change it, or do not listen to, or maybe have your own agenda to what you want to hear and put in your mind. Now, to finish, I just want to answer George's question about metaphysics. Because when it comes to science, people, if they cannot see, they don't believe, right? Science don't accept. And as for today, Nobody can see electricity, Josh. If anyone say that, ask the person if they ever see electricity. We cannot see internet. We cannot see the air. We cannot see the heat, the cold. We cannot see them. We feel them only. But we cannot. So many things in life that we know there exist. The wind, right? Everyone knows that the wind has speed and do stuff, but nobody ever see it, right? So I want to add that one to the conversation that not all we can see. So science has its own limits for what they can prove. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we have 8 minutes left. I don't know if anyone want to add any additional comment or question for. I have a question, but by the time Fatu finished, she already answered my question.
Yeah,
So
maybe we can go back to Josh's question. What can we do? What can we do is already what we are doing now. What can we do is already what we are doing now by training ourselves first. Because when we are aware, and now you are in any environment, and people start talking about, like my staff will say, "Oh, one day I will be killed. One day I will do." I said, "Don't. Why are you putting those things in your mind? You don't know the power of what you are saying." So is what we can do. And also, right now we are trying to do to record all this one to put it online. So if you want to invite someone who doesn't want to read, at least 20 minutes, 40 minutes of YouTube is more digestible than listen to book or read a book. So all this one is participating to the where we are going. And definitely we have job to do to help our environment, is what I can say. Thank you.
thanks.
Yeah, to add to that, since we have been reading, um, I've been with my company for like 13 years. I've never bothered to do greater because I'm like, I see this job to be a grocery store. I just want to like, I'm not present. I'm going to get a job somewhere else. So I had that kind of like planted in my subconscious mind. So I realized like I was not giving my all. But in order to do even your own business, you have to be an employee to be an employer, you know. And the best you are as an employees, the best you will be as an employers.
Absolutely.
So as I built that in my subconscious mind this year, because we have been reading and we have been we have been reading, we have been doing self-awareness. First of all, not only we have a change of manager, of supervisor, and not only did I get a praise, I got a bonus for the first time.
Oh,
And I know
Clap
I
for you.
I didn't really thank you guys. Thank
Yeah.
you guys.
I'm not
I
wasting any time.
I know I know. Not only was it's not if the bonus is not much, but it's what my manager who have known me for 5 months said to me. She said, Fatu, you gave your best. And when you hear you do a quality job that every single person in this store that work here want to work like you. They want to present that you, is it okay? Is it best? Is it great? Everybody is trying to walk in your direction. So, like Josh was saying, how do we influence others? It's just by being yourself, by being the best of yourself. Because you do not know, like we said, positively, negatively, we are already influencing people around us. Our behavior shaped their behavior. That our belief or what we're doing already shaping people behavior around us. So we just have to be who we are and be true to ourselves and put up our best. And the moment we put up our best, we go on time, we do our job, we help other people that needs help. If we finish our job early, we help other people. If people are down, we talk to them. We listen to them. Do they need just somebody listening to them? So I take my time. It's a grocery store, but I take my time to listen to people. So because I did behavior studies, so it's easy for me to connect and listen to people and give them that hearing of like just being present and listening to them and not provide my my advice right away. It's just by listening to them and say like, okay, you're doing great. Okay, well, how can we do this? So I think with that, it will also help people in your community. And as you influence those people, they want to be like you. And because they want to be like you, they start to change. And when they go in their environment, they start to behave differently. It also helps the other people in their community to change as well. So it is us being self-aware, like Arun said, and everybody else has said, about being intentional, like Crystal said, about how we're going about things, that we know that we are making those changes. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you.
Thank you once more.
You're welcome.
So it looked like we don't have Brother Steve today in the meeting.
Yeah, Steve is not available today.
Okay. Okay. I think if we don't have any additional comment, we'll start talking about next week book. All right. Next week book
Yeah,
is
the only thing
Moonwalking.
that I would like to add is the whoever uh, shared Jim Ron's video. I saw some from Fred Thomas, some from Christelle, and or from Fred Arun. I don't remember. Those books, I know those videos are so powerful. They are not bad at all to be listening to. It's a mind programming. There are mind programming thoughts that help a lot. You can never be, experienced enough not to have anything to gain from those kind of videos, or you can never hear them enough. And even by having things like that in the background when you are working, even without you, your mind is learning good stuff. Good music, good vibes are going into your mind, and they are very, very, very good. They can soothe you, they can give you comfort, and they help you make that leap of faith that you've been waiting for, and you never got the motivation. I can't say more than that. Those videos were really, really helpful. I couldn't finish the book, but by listening to the videos and by listening, to those recording, they really reminded me of so many things. They taught me so many new things that I would like to thank whoever or all the people who have shared those videos. And if anyone didn't listen to or watch them, they shouldn't, overlook them. They are very good.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem.
That's great. Yeah, we're making progress slowly. Just we have to control whatever is going inside our mind. Okay. So next week, Moonwalking with Einstein by Joshua Foy. So
What?
the author.
Yeah, okay. I thought it was Joshua presenting again.
No, not Joshua presenting. Then
You gotta give her that tag to Joe.
and then Olike will be the one presenting, okay? And then after that will be Christelle, February 24, becoming your own banker.
What happened?
Okay. So technically next week, so Christelle will be the
Gonna be
master
the moderator. No
of
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
okay.
No
Um,
problem.
all from my side is 10:01. We're still on time. I don't know any other comment. We don't have any. Then we'll say or wish.
I will say one thing or two is that we want to influence people. It's good that we are saying that we can influence our environment, but nowadays the most instrument or the most powerful means to influence the world is internet, books, social networks, and others. So we have to think about that. We are already doing it by putting our face on YouTube that we can send to friends, say, oh, you want to join? Is the way we are doing it, and they can see it. So that's great already.
Yeah.
And then if anyone, like someone doesn't want, don't force too much, okay? Because you want to drag too much load, they will slow your speed, right? Some people are willing, and some other people are not, who move my cheese, right? Some people just
Oh,
want to
my
be
cheese.
where they are. Look at how many people we invite to this book club and how many people are currently in the club, right? So some people don't want to waste the time, and they just me talking, they want to blame, the parent, the friend, the life that nobody told me, I never knew, right? But the information is out. So try to, but if someone doesn't want, don't spend too much time to try to, and move on. That's my philosophy currently. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and see
Thank
you.
you, guys.
Thank you. See you next week, and
I
enjoy the
put
rest
a,
of
I
the
put
day.
a vote here, but no one voted apart from Fatu.
Oh, wait,
Oh,
For what?
wait. What is that
for
in
the
between?
book?
Yeah,
The
vote for
you
this
put it
book.
approved.
Do you want the book to be reread in the future?
Where
Oh,
you
Oh,
put it at?
In the chatting?
Just go to the comment section and then you switch to the right.
Yeah,
Okay,
The
I saw
pool is
the
there.
okay, because I saw the Wikipedia, but I
yeah.
didn't know the way.
so yeah,
Oh,
3. Yeah,
no, we didn't see.
yes.
so
What is
where do we see it? Is it in the chat?
In the
Go to
chat,
the chat.
Ah, okay.
another tab.
Okay.
Go,
not
Is
go
it
oh
to
in
the
the?
yeah,
chat.
this one.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, the one that
Oh,
Okay.
says
okay.
sondage, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Okay.
Thomas. So that's 3 of us on one chat.
Claire, what grade you gave? 13579. Which one you gave?
What is this
Mhm.
scale?
That's our scale here. 13579.
It's not a good scale.
Don't
It
forget
is
about that. This is the scale.
To reread the book, I'd give it a 5.
a 5,
I'll give it a 7.
Its message isn't unique.
7.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
so
what I have to say.
I also gave it 7.
We're
So
not gonna get that. You have 3 7,
we,
but
we
we
have
put 1 7
we have
in.
2 7 and 1 5. Beyond what rating you give?
A 7.
Go ahead and vote.
Vote also. Thank you.
Barack Obama said, "Don't boo, but vote."
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Did you vote, Leo?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All
Right.
right. Thank you.
No, thank you, Nasif, for the good job. You're doing a lot for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
That
you so
polling
much.
is good. It's really good and it's easy. That way, we also have a history of what we are doing. I mean, we have it recorded without extra efforts that Fred Tomat was putting in before. So that's great. Yeah.
All right. So goodbye, everyone. Enjoy
Thank
the rest
you.
of
We
the
love
day. We
you.
love you.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah.
Keep
Bye.
the
Thank
reading
you
going.
Thank you
guys.
so
Bye
much.
bye.
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 Bye.